Hello, I'm Samantha, and now we are going to talk about the three most important branches with their best philosophers of philosophy. I don't know if they're the three most important branches, and if they're the best philosophers of those branches. But because I'm going to talk about it, they are for this moment. Okay, right now we are going to talk about metaphysics, ethics, and epistemology. So sit down and enjoy it because it's going to be so weird. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start with metaphysics because that was the first topic of the semester. Yeah. Okay, metaphysics. What is metaphysics? Why are we going to study it? Why are we seeing it in class? Why we saw it? I don't know, but this is a branch of philosophy that deals with the first principle of things, including abstract concepts such as being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, space, like everything that is around us, everything that conforms the universe, like where do we come from, why are we here, why are we like this, and the so we're going to talk about also the two most important, not they're not the most important, but are like the two of the most that I like most. I feel more identified with their theories of this branch. We're going to talk about Heraclitus and Plato. Okay, first Heraclitus, that he said that change is the law of universe. In few words, that everything that flux, that like a river, that everything is continue his path and never stays forever the same. Uh, and that the unity of opposites, that everything is coming together of opposites or opposite tendencies, never keeps the same forever. Everything keep changing from one point to another since the beginning of the universe. And there's also Plato, that change is all about perspective. Like, yeah, things are changing, but from one perspective, because they may not change in one side, but it changed in another side. Like his theory of forms combines the idea of Heraclitus, that change exists, and the Parmenides, that change is an illusion. He provides an explanation of the allegory of the cave, the concept that divides by the philosopher ruminate of the nature of belief versus knowledge. And for example, well, I think these theories are the best, but together combined, because well, nothing is the same forever, of course, but it always depends on how we are watching that change. Because, for example, when someone changes their name, like his name was Noah, but he wanted to now be Alex, and so after changing his name and also his looks for completely, like he painted his hair, operate his nose, everything huge. Like you see it in the street, and you won't think that's Noah. Um, because some people would think that Alex is a complete different person than Noah, but his way of thinking, all his dreams, hopes, and all that is the same. So Noah is like Alex may look different, but I have a different name, but he is still the same. That how is the same in the inside. So, and that how we see the theory of Heraclitus in Plato at the same time, because yes, everything changes all the time, but sometimes some things kept the same for some perspective. Like you may be in your inside, you may be the same person, like the same way of thinking like that you have 5 years ago, but you don't look the same like 5 years ago. And that, or in the other way, you may look exactly the same of 5 years ago, but your way or think of thinking is completely different. Okay, now we're talking about ethics because I really like it. Ethics or moral philosophy is a branch of philosophy that involves systematically defending and recommending the concepts of good and evil, good or bad behavior. Uh, it's like the is what control us. Like is the most famous one because it's what we think every day. Like, are we going to do this thing? Is like this thing is good to do, or I shouldn't do that because it's a bad thing. Like I shouldn't like look bad at that person because he's not good. Like things like that. And the two most important philosophers that we're going to talk about right now is Batman with his theory of utilitarianism and Nietzsche with his theory of good and evil, but more focusing in the envy part. Okay, first about Batman in the utilitarianism, I think is one of my favorite like philosophies because it makes us search for the better good, like that everyone's the most people feel like good, like democracy, like that. Because and doesn't focus a lot on the way you did it, but more in what you achieve. If you achieve a good thing, you did it good. I don't care if you had to kick a baby, you did good, like that. I'm not saying kick babies is good. Don't kick babies, please. And then there's Nietzsche talking about the good and evil, but in the envy way. Like everyone tells you envy is a bad thing, but Nietzsche says that we should use the envy as a strength, like for achieve better things for ourselves or for other ones. Because sometimes when we make us improve ourselves or anything that we're working on because we're envious of another person. And well, everyone will tell you that you shouldn't let your let be your let that be your motivation. I'm sorry. But if you see it from a perspective of Batman and Nietzsche's ethics and well com, convene them, you why you shouldn't use that as your motivation because you're not hurting anyone. Because for example, you're the CEO of a very important bottom company, and one of your and another company is being more successful than yours and winning more money and making your company go back. So you start feel envy of that other CEO. So because of that, you start pushing your workers to work better and let your company to be better and bring the better good to your company. And with the motivation of envy and that envy that you felt from the other CEO, let your company be better and win that motivation and be the best balanced company of the world. And maybe if you never felt that envy or you thought that you shouldn't that be your motivation, you will never achieve that full potential of your balanced company, and you'll be the second place still, and you should never be the second place. Or okay, maybe you will sometimes, but you shouldn't be comfortable with second place. Yeah, let envy win. Okay, now for our ending, we're going to talk about epistemology. Uh, what is epistemology? Well, I just investigated. I'm kidding. Sure, I'm kidding. That epistemology is a physical study of nature, origin, and limits of our human knowledge. It's like more focuses from where how we learn, from where do our knowledge come. Like, do we born knowing everything but then we discover it, or we just keep learning and learning and learning and everything. So and for this theory I'm going to talk about Kant, only Kant. I don't like the others are ugly. Yeah. Because Kant thought that knowledge is a combined from experience and reason. Like You may like reason some things like if I switch this, like if I press this button, my cell phone will turn on. Because yeah, I thought that I did it and I know it. But it also comes from spirits because, well, you know that pressing the button will turn on the phone, but you will never be completely sure if you don't press the button. And that pressing button will be your experience. And well, you can just acquire knowledge from one source, of course, even the same topic. You should not be investigated from one place because what you will know from it will be that they can like you can read a book about buttons. I really like buttons. I don't know why. Sorry. And you will only know that what that book says about buttons. Only that. And well, that book may be incomplete or incorrect. So that's why you should combine your experience and reason to learn right about things. Like, for example, when you're searching what to see on Netflix, you want to see a new show, and you see a TV show about fairies versus vampires in space. And well, your reason tells you that that sounds like a very bad combination, like horrible. But you still try, but you start thinking, I should try it because it's in my recommended part of Netflix. And from my experience, Netflix always recommend me very good shows and never let me down, and I always enjoy them. So you have really good taste, so you watch it, and bam. Yeah, you hate it because well, who will watch it first versus vampires in space? Oh my god, no, that's a weird, really weird show. But you learn that you didn't like it, and now you know that you didn't like it because well, it's a really bad combination, but at least you didn't stay with the like that thing like I won't like it, I won't like it, I won't like it after you watch it, and now you are completely sure that you don't like fairies versus vampires in space with buttons because I didn't mention buttons in this example. That's it. Thank you very much, teacher. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, that's it. Goodbye.